BookTube, I'm sharing another weekly wrap up with you guys today, and this week I read 12 books and one novella short story kind of addition to a series kind of thing where I never know how to call it or what it really is. Anyway, let's just get into it since I have quite a few books to share with you guys. The first book I read was The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness, and this was the first Patrick Ness book I ever read, and this book is about the people that are not the chosen one or not the ones fighting when the world is ending, but the one that stand on the sideline. And this book follows Mikey and he tries to find the extraordinary in the ordinary life after having just graduated high school and trying to finally work up his courage to ask a friend out before the school is once again blown up by the chosen ones. And this is just, it was such a cute and fun and easy book to read, and I really enjoyed it, and it was very differently written, but the plot was very interesting, and I really love that Mikey is OCD and has a huge amount of anxiety, and none of the other characters feel the need to constantly point out that Mikey is different and that he has those quirks that he can't control. I love that the characters around him just kind of accepted him as he is. The friendships in this book overall were fantastic. It really shows real friendship and actual friendship. I really also love there is a little sibling in the book that she hangs out with Mikey and his friends, and nobody is annoyed by her or that treats her like she's stupid or younger and doesn't understand something, or just that she doesn't belong there because she's a younger sibling, but she's just very treated in a very similar way. And I love that because you really don't see that very often, that older siblings are very accepting of younger siblings, hanging around with them and being friends with their friends and just being there with them, and I love that as well. Really loved it, and I can't wait to read another Patrick Ness book. And then I read Ruined by Amy Tintera, and this is the first book in a new fantasy series, and this book follows a girl who is born in Runa. That Runa was destroyed in a war, and since the main girl lacks magical powers that apparently everyone else in Runa has, she is seen as worthless by the surviving Ruined, which is what the people in Runa are called. When she has to watch how her parents are brutally murdered and her little sister is kidnapped, our main girl decides that she will take revenge and infiltrate the enemy kingdom and try to destroy it from the inside out. This book was brilliant. I really loved it. It was completely everything I want in a fantasy book. The writing was fantastic. It had lots of snark and sarcastic comments and just overall great dialogue. It had a huge amount of violence, and I know that sounds very strange, that I really enjoy very much suffering characters around me to really enjoy it. And she just wrote a fantastic book that had all the great fantasy goodness that I love it, and it's just so fantastic. And the characters were great, and they had very unique characteristics and backstories about them. And I really love that in this fantasy story there wasn't a fight between good and evil, but rather that everybody kind of was bad, and it was basically worse fighting against bad, and you can decide which one is worse and which one is just bad, but it wasn't a good versus evil fight. It was just a fight against people that all make horrible choices, behaved horribly, and killed everybody inside. And yeah, it's the survival of the strongest in a way. And I love this book. It has lots of action and fighting and very stab-loving characters all around, and I just can't wait to read the second one. I read Tricky 22 by Janet Emanovich, and this is a Stephanie Plum novel. This is the 22nd, as you can guess from the title, in the series. And if you don't know what Stephanie Plum series is about, she's a bounty hunter who is too stupid to do her job on her own, and she has a cop who is her on and off boyfriend who helps her whenever she needs it. And then she has also the apparently unbelievably overly sexy other bounty hunter named Ranger who saves her ass whenever her cop boyfriend can't do that. So basically that is the plot of every single Stephanie Plum book ever. This sounds as if I didn't really enjoy the series, but I really honestly really had a great time with the first couple of books around, but around book 10 it kind of got very repetitive and very overdone, and just apparently Ivanovich can't stop writing those books, and apparently I can't stop reading them, so my own stupidity, but that I can't just stop. But the only positive thing about this particular book was that it wasn't as badly written, and it wasn't as stupidly overly trying to be funny as the last handful were, and the hamster is still alive and kicking, so yay, I guess. And the next two I read was book 3 and 4 of a series, so I will wrap those up together. And that was Blue Lily, Lily Blue, and The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater. And this is a paranormal mystery kind of series where Blue is somebody that comes from a family of sidekicks, and Blue herself can't do that, but she kind of amplifies the powers of people that have powers or something like that, and then she meets a group of boys and the story evolves from there. And I would give you a better summary if I had any idea what this entire series was about, but I have no idea, and that was the biggest problem I had with the series overall, because I read all 4 books that exist and I still have no idea what the heck happened in any of them. The entire series made no sense to me. There was no logic I could find. In nothing, not the plot, not the characters, not what happened and how it happened and why it happened and what the heck happened. And could somebody please explain to me as well why the heck the series took place in the US when everything is around Welsh magic, and why it didn't happen in Wales? I do not see why the series is popular, because I just, from the first book on, I was completely confused. I have no idea what was going on. But if you love the series and you read the entire thing, please feel free to explain it to me in the comments, because I just need somebody to explain to me what the heck happened in those books, because yeah. Next book I read was Out of the Easy by Ruta Sepetys, I think. I have no idea how to pronounce her last name, sorry. This book takes place in 1950 in New Orleans, and it tells the story of a 17-year-old girl named Josie, who is the daughter of a known prostitute in New Orleans. She wants to get out of the French corners, out of New Orleans, out of the life that her mother built. And this book was just fantastic. I really loved it. And the writing was wonderful. The character was brilliant. The plot was fantastically done. And it's just the entire story wrapped together in such a wonderful way. It was really well put together from the first page on to the last. It all made sense. It all came together in a very fantastic way. I really loved Josie as well. She was such a wonderful character to follow along, and she fought so many people on how they wanted her to be, and she really showed them that just because your mother or your parents or something, you don't have to be that. And she's a fantastic character to follow, and the writing was great, and the story was wonderful and so different and unique and wonderfully told. If you never read anything by this author before, really recommend this book. Then I read Wink Poppy Midnight by April Geneva Tugola. This book follows Wink, who is the odd mystery neighbor girl, Poppy, the blonde popular bully high school queen bee, and Midnight, the sweet uncertain boy caught between those two very different girls. And as you can see from that summary, it's clearly a love triangle, and it's a really strange one as that. This sounds like I didn't enjoy the book. The book was pretty good, it just was very strange, and it is told from the 3 different perspectives from those 3 characters, and the writing has a very whimsical kind of feeling, very strange, very magical realism-y kind of thing, and it's a very strange book. I personally had a few problems with this book. Overall it was okay, it was very strange, but I hated the names, because can we just please have book characters that have real names? Neither Wink, nor Midnight, nor Alabama are real names, and those were the real names and not nicknames. So if you want to call people that, let it nicknames and not the birth names, please. But anyway, it really bothered me throughout the entire story, so that really just got on my nerves. And if something like that happens and I just really hate something specific, I can't really love the book. And the story itself was very strange, but in a kind of good way. You don't have any idea what the heck is happening 90% of the time, or at least I didn't. But at the same time, that is kind of what makes the book interesting and good, and you want to continue reading because you want to finally get what the heck is happening. It was a good book, but strangely beautiful as is the cover. So if you find the cover very intriguing, that you will most likely enjoy the story. So let's just that be all I have to say for that. And then I read Bridge of Snow by Marie Rukalski, and this is a short little thing about that shows a little clip of Aaron's time as a child with his mother and features a little story that she tells him. And I really enjoyed this, which is very strange for me because I normally really don't get those novella kind of things. I always find them just, they don't fit into the book, which is why they're not in the actual book series, and for me they never make sense, but this was just wonderful. It was a beautiful little story. It gave a real and informative view into Aaron's past and how he grew up, and it kind of explained more about him and his character and why he behaved in the way he behaved in the book series, and I loved this. It was a fantastic addition to the Venice trilogy. I really recommend it. And then I started a new series and read the first 2 books of that, and that was Rebel Belle and Miss Mayhem by Rachel Hawkins. And this series follows Harper, who's a rather typical Southern belle, until something strange happens to her, and all of a sudden she has abilities that make her a guardian with super strength and lethal fighting instincts and powers and all of that good stuff. And this series follows her as she tries to figure out how she will continue her normal life as well as having those very strange new powers. The writing was good in both books, very consistent in tone and pacing, and I did enjoy Harper since she was just a fantastic character. She was very witty and smart and didn't automatically know how to handle her new powers. She really struggled at the beginning how to handle those powers, what she's supposed to do with them, and so that was fantastic to see. She's also one of the sweetest and nicest characters I ever read about, which is fantastic as well, because you rarely see a character that is just overall sweet and nice and always tries to do the right thing, and is just fantastic. And I also love that this book series features a wonderful female friendship between Harper and her best friend Bee, and I never really saw something as wonderfully between 2 female friends as in this series, so that was great as well in both books. Some parts of both books dragged on a little. In the first one, not as much because a lot more was happening. Harper was discovering her superpowers, and with that there was a lot more action. In the second book, the story dragged on a little bit more. Overall, I really loved both books. They were great. The second book was just a smidget less great as the first one, but I really enjoyed those first 2 books, and I can't wait to finish off the trilogy. And if you haven't read this, I really recommend it. It's very cute and very easy to read. All the Birds in the Sky by Charlie Jane Anders, and this is a magical realist and science fiction-y kind of book where 2 childhood friends don't expect to see each other again, but then when they're both adults, they come together again and try to save the planet. I basically heard nothing but fantastic things about it, so I kind of expected to love it, but it wasn't for me at all. And clearly I don't hate the book because it just didn't fit into my personal reading style, and it wasn't for me at all. The writing didn't work at all for me. How the story was built and told, and the characters just gone on my nerves completely. I couldn't really enjoy anything of the story, and I read the entire book, but I didn't enjoy anything of it. It is an interesting story, and I can see why people enjoy it. Not saying that you shouldn't try this book. It is a very interesting and different kind of book, and if you love different and unique writing, maybe you will love it. It didn't work for me. Then I read Grey by E.L. James, and this is 50 Shades of Grey told from the perspective of Christian, and everybody knows what that book is about. Didn't have anything against the series, and I kind of enjoyed Anna's perspective. She was slightly interesting to read about. She was at least capable of thinking about more than just sex, so that was fantastic. And that cannot be said for Christian, because apparently he's only capable to think about sex, either wanting it or having it, or not being able to have it at the moment and being frustrated because of that. Also, his penis had a brain of his own, and I mean it like that because the penis was capable of thinking and reacting and being amused by stuff that happened. And yeah, that just was slightly creepy. To say it very shortly, this book was bad for me, and I wanted something cute and easy after those 2 books that really didn't work for me, and so I picked up Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch. This story is about a girl who goes and fulfills her mother's dying wish and spends the summer in Italy to get to know her father, who she never met before. And this is a very cute young adult contemporary love story that has great characters and a wonderful father figure. The writing was great, very easy to read, and enjoyable, and it is a perfect summer read. It has a lot of Italian flair and feeling. There are some sentences in Italian, and it's such a cute Italian book. It has a pretty cute romance, and I love the relationship between the main girl Lina and her father. All in all, this book was nicely done, handled some deeper topics with the death of the mother pretty nicely, but still has an overall cute and summery and easy breezy kind of feeling to it. It has pretty much everything from friendship to love interest to family situations that are either difficult or wonderful, and it's just a very cutely and nicely done story, mostly about self-discovery and what family really means and is, and where you can find it. And if you want a cute and quick and easy summer read, I really recommend this. Those were all the books I read during the week, and I would love to know, as always, if you read any of them, and if you want to talk about them to me, please let me know in the comments, and I would love to chat with you about them. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!